Hi, my name is Zizaran. We're going to look at the part 1 developer Q&A, and I'll pause and say my thoughts if it's anything I feel is exciting. Right, let's see. Last week, we asked the community for questions for our developers to answer. We've answered many of the large questions in this post. We'll follow up next week with another set of answers. If your question wasn't answered in this post, it may be in the following one, but it probably isn't. Many questions have been rewritten for reasons that are apparent if you see the original ones. As the game becomes bigger and bigger, more people with varying views of the game join us. This means a lot more complaints. How do you cluster feedback, and do you still have a primary target audience? We're still trying to figure this out. When we look at feedback, we make sure to take into the account the experience of the user and the nature of their core problem. If somebody hasn't killed Brutus, they don't fucking count. Rather than just the proposed solution. Despite its growth, we want Path of Exile to remain true to its core values. We feel that compromising its death would do more long-term damage than any short-term benefit we might get in terms of being more approachable to new users. Having said that, Path of Exile can remain a very hardcore game and still have its accessibility improved. We understand we can do a better job at making new features more understandable to both new and existing players, and we're working hard to improve at this. Yeah, I think the main thing that I would say they need to do that with is the synthesis crafting. What was the team's takeaway from the community feedback on synthesis? At a low level... Oh, I actually just thought about something. Do you know what they should have? After, like, the higher act you get, the more your resists should be glowing. And if you're in act 4 with like 0 resists, it should like pop up with the tooltip like your resists are low. I think that'd be really big for new players. There's so many players that don't realize how important resists are, because they're not as important in other games. It's mostly PoE where they're borderline mandatory. And I think that's like really confusing for new players. So if a player has like, 30, 40 rest in Act 4, that's fine. But 30, 40, and like, if it's like minus 10 in Act 5, then it's like, yo, the reason you have 210 deaths is this. What was the team's takeaway from community feedback on synthesis? At low level, there were a lot of individual problems with synthesis, which we read the feedback on, made changes to address, and deployed patches for. We already understand exactly what we did wrong during the leak's production. It was incorrectly scoped during a busy period. We thought we had enough time to make something of great quality, but we were wrong. Why didn't you delay the release of synthesis? We actually did delay it a week internally before we announced the date. When we announced the date, we were pretty sure we'd be able to finish the league in time. Why didn't we delay it further? Fuck if I know, man. Once we put down a countdown timer up and announced the release date, we really want to hit that date. People take time off work and plan to run around that release. And delaying a release not only upsets a few million people, but throws our entire schedule out of the year. We did release a playable league, it just wasn't good enough. See, it really sucks because I feel like there were just a few things that were needed to make it a great league. But I also feel like the main scope, the main focus of the league, of something like that, was always going to be elite players that have a shit ton of time to know life. I just feel like the entire design was just never a casual player, which is what you need to cater to grow. Like, most players I know that are like fairly advanced in the game did enjoy this league. Like me, Dan, Embu, like that kind of player. But yeah, let me just read through the rest of this. Will they ever be making more simple leagues like Breach, Abyss, Domination, Bloodlines, Rampage? If not, why? I like the idea of easy to understand, mechanically clean leagues with a lot of meta depth. Well, I don't feel it's fair to involve Bloodlines or Domination in a lot of meta depth, but we have been experimenting with various prototypes and are quite excited about the one we picked for 3.7. While our current production infrastructures let us put a lot of content in it, it'll probably be reminiscent of the era of Breach, Essence, or Abyss leagues. Good. Like, when I think of really good leagues, I actually didn't like Abyss, but that was more because of the launch. Once Abyss... Actually, I don't think okay, maybe not Abyss. But, like, I thought Essence was amazing. I thought Essence was so cool. Breach as well was so good. Breach, while it wasn't my favorite league, I feel for the game, Breach was the best league. And the reason why it's so popular is just the layers of RNG it has. And Essence uses some of those same ones, right? You have a couple, actually I'd say a lot of the same ones, right? So in Breach, something that the community really liked, you know, Breaches are exciting. They had shit tons of loot. Like killing a Breach in Breach, like now they're great, but when Breach came out, you usually got more loot from one Breach than an entire map. If you held down, it was just insane. Thank you, Guri. It was so much. It was so crazy. I appreciate the resub. And then you had like the different breaches that were different levels of exciting, and then you had the domains, and you also had the uniques, right? That's like different layers of RNG. Now Essence does sort of the same thing, where you have an Essence. This is really good. This is at least a free alchemy. Is it a torment? Like if you're a spellcaster, like getting a lightning to spell one, that's great. Like this is still happens in racing, where I'm like, oof, yes, torment, right? So Essence right now is amazing. And then you have Dread, Scorn, Misery, Envy. Wow, these I can turn into a Horror or Delirium, right? And then you also have another layer of RNG. There can be multiple on one. This allows for the rare, like Super Pog, like, oh my god, this is a Dread, Scorn, Misery, and Envy on the same one. And then you corrupt it and it doesn't turn good. But then when it does, you're like, oh my god, dude, I just got 2 horrors and delirium from one essence, right? That's like something you tell your friends about, which is great. Like that's what you want in leagues. Doesn't have to be super common, but you want the option that there's exciting stuff like, oh, I got a lich. Dude, I dropped a, stuff like that. So that's sort of my thoughts on that. Do you think the current big complex leagues are sustainable? Yes. If we don't have any other priorities consuming our time, see this post, which is when they're talking about the Korea release and a lot of other things and Xbox and stuff. We'll try to scope our leagues carefully to not run into problems with this. Does the team feel required to one-up in both scope and scale the league before? Even if we specifically decided not to do this, it often happens organically as the team thinks of more and cooler things to add to the league. This can create a cycle that is difficult to maintain, both in terms of our own development expectations and the expectations of the players. For 3.7, we're trying to downscope some aspects. It has turned out quite well, and we're excited to see what you think. See, they don't even necessarily, I mean, it's, especially for me as a content creator, even better if they do, but on a game level, they don't necessarily need to. I don't think a lot of people are expecting another Super Pog League until 4.0. I could be wrong, but my expectations are very low. I just received from my friend the autograph from me from TwitchCon. Thanks. Dude, Donarchy, that's awesome. I'm glad you got it. I remember doing that. Was that the one? Did I ever try to die less than I do on yours? Because I did that on 2 people. I can't remember. Or was it just yours? I don't know. I'm not expecting like a league that hits like 100k on Steam until 4.0. I'm expecting 4.0 to be like, wow. I think 3.0 will be, but I'm not expecting it. Sort of. And I'm expecting like, I mean 3.7. I think 3.7 will be big. I think 3.8 and 3.9 will be fairly mediocre. I'm not expecting to be wowed. And then I'm expecting 4.0 to be everyone like, oh my god, why the fuck does this have 20k viewers? That's my prediction. What are your thoughts on the current state of dropped rare items, particularly normal ones? So many rare items dropped. There's so many different item classes, and each item class has so many different base types available. Only a few which are useful for your character. This results in a situation where many rare items are just left on the ground because it's very unlikely there'll be an upgrade for an item you currently have equipped. In addition, the presence of shaped, eldered, or fractured rares mean that regular rares are even less likely to be game-breaking. The new crafting systems, such as fossils, also reduce the chance that a given rare will be an upgrade. The above situation isn't good, and we want to fix it. It's going to be a very slow process across many expansions, probably with 4.0 doing some heavy lifting, but we'll get there. Now, they've already done something very interesting, which I think they should start doing with regular rares. if you identify a Shaper rare, and this is sort of unfair because Shaper items are by default already better than rares. So I think they need to change rares in the way I'm about to suggest. And if you identify a Shaper rare right now, then it has a Shaper roll on it by default. Anything that's specifically to a Shaper item, like percentage regen, implicit, stuff like that, will be on the item by default. At least one. It's guaranteed. You can never identify one and it not be there. So what I think they should do on a rare item is have one roll, and maybe a higher chance for others that one roll is the highest roll for that tier. So for example, say you drop an like armor piece and it has life, it's like, I don't know, like something is guaranteed to be the highest tier, like one of the like the 4 or 5 or 6 rolls. I think that could be like good, because then it's worth identifying as opposed to crafting. Like it might be that the reflect is the highest tier, highest roll, highest tier. So it might be that for like you pick up a glove, it might have like tier 1 thorns or tier 1 life regen, but it also might have tier 1 life or tier 1 resist. For that, like obviously if the highest if it's a level 40 item, then obviously you can only get like 32 resist or something. But you know, just one tier being like the highest for that tier, for that item level. I don't know. It's just because that's sort of similar to the way they do the Shaper items. So that system already exists, sort of, that they can guarantee something. Do you feel that the master revamp, fossil crafting, and synthesis crafting introduced more power creep? If so, what are your thoughts on this? Yes. Every new crafting system introduces a little bit of power creep to the best items that are possible. This is intentional and desirable. If a new crafting system didn't let you make the new best items, then it wouldn't be very interesting to people. Well, it's not necessarily about best, it's about different. Like with the fossils. We're trying hard to control the level of power creep over time so that people's previous best items are not made irrelevant. It's quite difficult and expensive to use these crafting systems to make something incredibly good. So the relative power creep of previous mirror-worthy items in standard is still quite high. Do you have any plans to separate league mechanics from the crafting system? Also, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like so many mirror items in standard got knocked out. Like, this league, so many mirror items got knocked out, which in my opinion is a good thing. But I sort of disagree on the wording of the post. Yeah, we're on the right place. Do you have any plans to help separate league mechanics from crafting systems introduced with leagues as they transition into standard? We are not announcing any specific plans for this, but it's certainly on the table. If the right way to merge a league with the core game involves breaking apart the league mechanic from the crafting system, then that's what we'll do. For some complex crafting systems, we're happy for them to only be available sparingly from interaction with an old league when it's accessible. See, a lot of people, I've seen that there's been some like posts on Reddit about like removing leagues and stuff. To be fair, like people are talking about Torment. If you remove Torment from the game, would it really make a difference? Does Torment make the game feel cluttered? Not at all. Not really. Yeah, that's fair, Hilary. But not really. Like, Torment's just coasts. I do think that a potential good thing for mechanics that you don't want to necessarily include in the game, but were similar to Torment, you can include them in future leagues like the Temple of Atsuatl. I mean, they should be more rewarding in that place because they don't do anything. It's pointless. But they don't make the game, in my opinion, feel cluttered. I would not notice if they took it out. I will not notice if they keep it in. I will not feel like this, like, oof, I have some more room to breathe now that ghosts are out of the game. Do you think there is room to make higher end crafting more accessible to the average player? We certainly want more players to experience the fun of crafting and make some cool stuff, but we have to be very careful to not damage the economy in the process. Hold on, pull that mic. What's that? High-end crafting is expensive for a reason, because it can make really expensive items. To make it more accessible, that means reducing the costs associated with it, reduce the value and exclusiveness of the best items in the game. We feel it's critically important that in an action RPG, the absolute best items are exclusive and very valuable. And that's good. I agree with that. I think one of the things they really missed the mark with in Synthesis was including things like thorns and life regen at all. I think Synthesis would have been so much more popular if the worst thing you could get was 4 fire vests or 2 fire vests. I think that would have been acceptable, because, or like 2 life. Like, sure, 2 life isn't great, but it's still an implicit. It's just an extra. Like, so I don't know. When the implicit is a complete joke, like, that stuff just probably shouldn't be in the game. Everything doesn't have to be amazing, but it's just the fact that I don't think it's good design to have a stat that is dead. Like life regen, there's not a single, there's no use for thorns. Light radius, there is a use for. They made light radius useful. That's fine. That's a great way to work around it. Actually, light radius is useful for several reasons. So light radius is fine. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about thorns. I'm talking about flat life regen. They either need to bump up. No, 3 strength is fine. Nothing wrong with 3 strength. That's not a dead stat. Not the point. I can't think of anything else than reflect and life regen. How is light radius useful? I'll explain in a second. Stun and block recovery is useful. And it's usually a part of a hybrid. It's usually a hybrid, so that one's not as bad. Life regen, like flat life regen, either needs to be multiplied by like 10 to 20, and then it's a good stat. Then it's useful for several builds. I don't understand why they don't. And the minus element damage taken, I think that's actually stronger, because I think that removes the monster's base damage. So I'm pretty sure the minus flat damage is actually pretty OP. We just don't use it a lot. Imagine 100 flat life regen. Yeah. Like the actual flat regen, like 8 or 15 or something, that is such a bad stat. Yes, I'm reading the Q&A. Did I call it manifesto? But yeah. Okay. And thorns is obviously a completely dead stat. Again, like if you multiplied it, made it bigger, so you could make thorns builds and made a way to scale it, that's fine. Keep it on there. If you're not going to do that, then remove it. Now, people are asking, how is light radius useful? Now, in Synthesis, they made it useful by having, if you had 15, 15, 10 light radius, then you make the Fizz Explosion implicit. That's a good way to make that not a dead stat. The other thing where it's actually useful in the core game is in the map Wakariu Tuaha. It's a unique strand map. And light radius becomes quantity and rarity in that map. So if you have 200 light radius, you're getting 200 quant and 200 rarity. So with stuff like that, then it's fine. Like, I don't particularly mind if something's fairly niche and that it's got a couple of uses. There's no uses for reflect. There's no use for flat life regen. Thanks, Candy. So that's sort of the problem I have with that. And it's fine to disagree with that or feel differently, but that's sort of, I don't like that. There's also the unique one that turns light radius into a blind aura AoE. Yeah. So light radius isn't necessarily a dead stat. There are uses for it. It's not the best, but it doesn't have to be. I just want every stat to be useful for something. Oh, really, Candy? Cool. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce Wakariu. Do you have any plans to change how Syndicate crafting is unlocked? The Veiled item system received quite a lot of feedback that we're processing. Feedback means hate. I actually like it. We're considering some options like normalizing the frequency of mods appearing, because the more valuable ones already take more experience to level up anyway. We may also have to make master-specific ones easier to level because they're rarer to acquire. Don't take this speculation as a guaranteed plan though, it's just what we're considering currently. Why do we... I don't particularly feel like the system is bad. Like the Veiled system. It's like such an improvement over the last Masters, and it gives the option for some players like this league, like Embu and Dan got pretty lucky with a couple of things, and I went to them all the time for crafts. And if you get a craft before everyone else, I don't know, I like it. I don't particularly like betrayal in the game, so if they had like veiled items drop other places than just betrayal, I don't particularly like I don't mind the veiled system. I kind of mind betrayal. I don't want betrayal. Like if veiled items could just drop randomly as a more rare thing, maybe I think I'd like that more. Like I quite like unveiling. I quite like, ooh, am I gonna get the minimum power charges? And sometimes the other thing I really like about it is if I get like an off-on item and I manage to get quality, like if I get the 8 TCP craft for quality, I don't have to waste 8 TCPs on that. I got that for free. I just don't like betrayal. Not sure why. I usually like rippy things. I just for some reason don't like it. I can't even put my finger on it. What is minimum power charges even used for? So if you put on a ring with minimum power charges, you always have 1 power charge. You don't need to get generation. And you can get, for example, 3, 4 power charges permanently online. Same with endurance charges is normally what I do it with. Is 1 endurance charge permanently. That's 4 all rest and 4% fist reduction. That's nice. You cannot consume those charges. Why do we have to unlock master crafting recipes every league? Can they become account-wide unlocks? God no, please don't. In the Betrayal expansion, we changed how master crafting works, so you have to unlock it by performing various tasks within the league. These have to be unlocked again from scratch in each new league. One of our core design philosophies is that players shouldn't be able to get an advantage in a new league based on their actions in a past league. This gives a level playing field that makes it clear that you can return to Path of Exile at a new league and be on equal footing with other players. Because of this, it will never be possible for crafting recipes to be unlocked on a per account basis. The intention of the master crafting recipe system is that you can ideally look up a recipe that you can use and find out exactly where to go and unlock it. The recipes that are locked behind level 3 incursion rooms are too difficult to unlock because of the RNG required for the room to spawn. We will move these recipes elsewhere. If we find other ones that require too much RNG to get, we'll consider moving them too. Awesome. That's perfect. Like, this question, like, to begin with, is just, like, ridiculous. They should never, like, I don't know. I hope they never change that. That is, like, out of everything, like, people always say, like, hey, Ziz, do you think this game is turning into Diablo 3? If you ask dumb questions like this, yes, it will. Like, every league needs to be fully raw. The only thing that should matter is the things you have personally learned from the last league. That sounds like a question asked by somebody that hates temp leagues? Yes. Have you considered adding a safer way to purchase betrayal crafts from other players? This is an interesting topic of discussion that extends far beyond just betrayal crafting, as there are many game systems that players attempt to trade the rewards in a trust-based manner. Before betrayal crafting, it is potentially possible for us to build it into the trade screen with a decent-sized revamp. We'll keep discussing. I have so many ideas for how that's like really good to do. And I see so many things that can go wrong here. Like, there's a couple of things you can have, right? You can have, like, I could see it going wrong with, like, that you just, like, you're able to trade the item in, but they're not able to keep it. Well, what if they scour your item? You put it in their crafting bench, and suddenly you get a white item back. You're like, no. It should be a hilarious content homing. But maybe if you put it in their crafting bench and they can't do anything with it until you request. Or maybe you can put a fee. Maybe you can put a fee on your crafting bench, right? Like say that I could have an open group, crafting group, right? Like I honestly, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, and this is not necessarily a great thing, but I kind of liked when crafts were hard to get. I didn't push for it myself, but Ectors and Dawdle, right? They would push for it, and they would be the crafters for that league, and they put effort in to get that, and they were rewarded by people paying them fees, right? I'm not a massive fan of everybody being able to do everything themselves. I love when there's a community feeling, and I'm like, yeah, that guy can do that for you. That's something I think is really cool. And I understand like all the reasons why people don't like that. But I think a community feeling is something that's really important for me. Like in Darkfall Online, when we would have like a specific enchanter, a specific armor crafter. Like, I think that's really cool. And it's fine to hate that. That's fine. But for me personally, I think that's really cool. So something that could potentially be a good idea in what I would like was say I make a party that's open for everybody to join, and I'm just like leaving my client on while I'm sleeping, or while I'm like watching a movie, whatever, or I'm just like mapping. But there's a cost to use my crafting bench. It costs 5C or 2C for you to use my crafting bench. And I can like write the title, have all crafts. You can come in, put your item in my crafting bench, craft your own craft. And I instantly get like 2 or 5 or 500 if that's the fee I've put on it. That's like something that could potentially be an idea. So you would just have access to them. Then you have no trust, right? So where does the fee go? Into my crafting bench. Streamers get rich as fuck? I mean, it's not even just streamers, because streamers don't usually push for the crafting. It's been like Ectors and Dawdle have been the people doing it on Hardcore every league, and they got rich as fuck from it. I haven't really seen any streamers like push hard to get crafting stuff. If streamers really want to get rich anyway, we can just ask for it. Most streamers don't like handouts. Most streamers don't abuse shit like that. If a streamer really wants to, like if I asked right now, like, hey guys, has anyone quit hardcore synthesis and want to give me their stuff? I could easily get 100x right now. It's just most people don't, right? Most people don't do that. So I don't necessarily think something that should be balanced around streamers. Sure you need? No, I was making a point. But like there's a lot of things. You just got to figure out what does most people want and what's good for the game. Streamer energy. But I mean, that's just a casual idea I liked. I doubt they would ever make something like that. But you know, it's important to think about things. Is there a plan to allow players to opt out of certain past league content? If a player doesn't want to interact with specific past league content, then they're going to get mutilated by betrayal. But it's possible to usually avoid starting the event. For example, in the case of Abyss or Breach, you can just walk around the object that triggers it. However, this typically feels pretty bad for players, because the content usually comes with generous rewards, so players are missing out if they choose not to play it. We see the current set of past leagues enabled in Path of Exile as the thing that we curate and modify over time. As we get more and various leagues will cycle in and out, please let us know the feedback about which ones you enjoy and which ones you avoid so we can bear this in mind. We have heard the feedback about intervention and counter-sin betrayal and are discussing it. I mean, that's the problem, right? I mean, okay. Feel free to like disagree with this, but I feel like the major issue with betrayal intervention, it's not that it's unavoidable, right? Or, well, let me finish. It's like if in invasion, right? If I see the jumping thing, I can gasp, almost die, and run away from that. If I see intervention, that shit will follow me until I'm dead. That is a very big distinction. Like, that will keep popping up, and it will follow you, and it will follow you. If intervention just appeared and stayed there, so I could run the fuck away from it if my character is weak as shit, I would have no problems with intervention. I quite like intrusive content. I prefer intrusive content to Abyss and Breach. I don't like intrusive content that you cannot run away from. Like, that is insanity. It's like, okay, no, this is stuck with you now. Like, regardless of all the lag problems and stuff, that should obviously never be there. But the fact that you literally just have to, oh, well, there's intervention here. I have a really weak character. It's either I die or I leave the map. That, they should have like a leash range, or they should just never portal again. If they just stay there, I feel like they would be fine. Clear speed seems to be becoming more and more of a necessity with each league mechanic you add. Are you happy with this trend, or do you feel like it's affecting build diversity? And this is something I'm pretty surprised about too, because they're usually against clear speed. People certainly aren't playing Path of Exile at the speed that I initially imagined when we started our development back in 2006. But I know that if we made a big effort to slow down top-end play, it'll probably ruin the enjoyment for many of our most engaged users have. We have seen the other games make this mistake, and we don't want to repeat it. We're fully aware of clear speed concerns when designing new league content. We generally try to create a new league that doesn't require insane clear speed, but we made synthesis anyway. Of course, it is true that the faster you can complete an area and get its reward, the faster you'll progress, so there's an implicit incentive to making good, fast characters. Now, I don't mind a slow game. I think this is part of the reason why I'm enjoying Last Epoch so much. It's currently fairly slow, and then you can slowly increase it in speed. There's always going to be power creep, and I think games will eventually die just because at some point you can't do it. I think it's too late. That's why I'm so upset about Winter Orb. I think Winter Orb was a mistake. Everything, I honestly just feel free to destroy it. I will not mind. I think it's a good thing. Like, I'll probably feel bad about it for a league, but Winter Orb makes everything else feel so bad. It's so powerful. It's so fun to play. I am struggling to enjoy other builds just because of Winter Orb. Stormbrand didn't give me the same problem. Stormbrand's really strong, but it just didn't, for some reason. Like, Stormbrand is like a 10 for racing, but it's just not something I like really love playing for maps. It's okay. It's good for bosses. It's strong. It can definitely do everything. But for some reason, Winter Orb is simply too fun. I can't even put my finger on it. Maybe it's just the way it shoots out projectiles, the implicit shatter, the way that I can just run around. But I really struggle playing other builds. It's like putting a totem on top of your head. Yeah. So, and sure, no, it's not mandatory to play Winter Orb. It's not. But I really struggle. I'm not the only person struggling either. Like, I remember this was like back when I used to talk to Zeno quite a bit, and he said that part of the reason why he didn't make good characters was because it makes it harder to enjoy those shit weird characters. And that's true. That's something I struggle with. Like, I made a really strong Molten Strike character, and like, yeah, I know Molten Strike is great. I can't stand it. I don't like it at all. It's super strong, but it's just not the same like level of fun. Yeah, it even hits barrels. Like, just Winter Orb is like the perfect skill, but I don't think it's necessarily even possible to make this many or all the skills in PoE as fun. I don't believe that's actually possible, just on a mechanic level. Like, part of the reason Winter Orb is so fun is that I can kill while moving. That's a great feeling. Righteous Fire does that too, but it's missing a lot of things. Like, if Righteous Fire shattered everything around me while I was Righteous Firing, I think I'd only be playing Righteous Fire. Like a wall of shatter. Ooh, that sounds great. Please don't make that. Like, I don't know. To me, it's pretty scary when things are too fun. What was before Winter Orb? Was there a best skill? Well, Valspark was the other, like, similar thing. And Val Molten Shell as well. They all did similar things. Killing while moving. Well, what's fun for us, maybe it's not fun for someone else. And that's true. That's true. But I've never seen so many people echo my thoughts as with Winter Orb. Like, there are a lot of people in chat that are saying same / because they don't feel like that much other stuff. Like, just other things aren't just fun. Like, it's just so levels above everything. Like, I was talking to my girlfriend about this yesterday, and I was saying I would, just for me, I would just be playing Winter Orb all day, every day. I love it. I'm not going to get bored of that. It's Frozen Orb. It's so good. It's so fun. Like, every time I'm playing another build right now, I'm thinking I could be playing Winter Orb right now. And I'm killing bosses with it too. And not everybody feels that way. Like, Vaush said Winter Orb isn't that fun. But there's so many people, more than ever, Yeah, I'm doing Winter Orb and Flashback, obviously. Not just because I enjoy it, but because it's the best to win demis. Winter Orb is terrible against bosses. Not if you build it right. Right. Let's continue. I love this discussion, though. As a player who wants to delve, and only delve, is there any way to reduce the reliance on mapping to access delve content? The honest answer here is that we believe that game systems like delve will become boring if you have unlimited access to them. And so it's important to limit their access by requiring regular Path of Exile between sessions of special content. The other factor that is delve specific is that rewards from delve are strong, so it would be an economic problem if people had more access. Having said that, Scarabs and other game mechanics can help you trade for more delve time. I actually like delve right now. I might be an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people want to delve more. I think delve is perfect right now. I mean, Scarabs are busted. Scarabs shouldn't be in the game to begin with. I think Scarabs are dumb as shit. I hate Scarabs. I really like the way we're doing right now, where I save up for maybe like 3 or 4 hours of mapping or whatever, or maybe more, or I do some rotations, and then I go on a delve journey. I put some effort into it, and then I go on a journey into delve. And then I'm like, I forget about mapping. I'm just delving for maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes. But I love that. I love that journey. So I quite like it. I hate Scarabs. I want Scarabs gone. I was so sad when they were made core. Even with the nerf, they're just busted. They're busted. And party play is busted. It's just so insane. Like if Scarabs got nerfed maybe per player that's in the map. I don't know. What's the problem with Scarabs? It's just so strong. It's too strong, especially with players, like multiple players. Can you explain why Scarabs are busted in your opinion? Sure. Like the Shaper and Elder Scarabs, it just makes it rain about the Shaper bases. The Shaper bases are already too strong. They're like, I am in the camp that thinks busted or super strong items are fine as long as they're rare. I don't particularly like items that are as busted as Eternity Shroud or Headhunter. I think the power creep compared to other games are too insane. Scarabs should remove portals, maybe. That is possibly the best suggestion I have seen. Every Scarab you put in removes 1 portal. So if you put 3 Scarabs in, it removes 3 portals. Yo, that's actually the best suggestion I've seen. That's actually a Pog suggestion. Who was that? Femboys. Nice. There's actually a 200 IQ suggestion. Because I feel Scarabs as a solo player is fine. I really do. I feel Scarabs for 6 people are not okay. And it can be hard for a lot of people to see that if you haven't seen it. If you ever watched Empyrean or Pause or when I was doing it with 6 people, it is busted. Because if you put in 3 Scarabs and you have 6 people, say it's like the Shaper stuff, even the Bestiary stuff is kind of busted, to be honest. If you put in like the Shaper stuff and Sulfite and stuff like that with 6 people, it's busted. I feel like 6 players is the only thing that breaks it, so that actually fixes it. Like 3 portals or 4 portals, 5 portals with 1. If 5 portals was 1, maybe a bit too strong. Maybe the first one removes 2. I don't know. But like the Shaper items with 6 people in Monster's Treasure, you could like, let's say that Shaper Scarabs didn't exist, right? And you could like, obviously the price goes down, but it's just, they're so powerful items. Arrow, thanks so much for the 14, dude. It's just so strong. The Divination card, like 6 people and the Div card one. Yeah, like people are farming nearly a full combs in one map. You're getting so like a Monstrous Treasure with the Strongbox thing. It's sort of like, that's the problem with Path of Exile. The more multipliers are sort of stacking too hard. So if you're doing Monstrous Treasure with the 500% quantity Strongbox and Divination card Strongboxes, we were getting a Doctor in every two Burial Chambers. Which is obviously insane, right? Because if you're farming solo on an MF build, you're looking at somewhere an average of anywhere from 300 to 500 maps. I'm not quite sure where the average is, but it's in that vicinity, right? Croagorus, thank you for the 3 months, and Crowman, thank you for gifting fanboys with a sub. So the fact that you can get it every 2 maps by putting all these things together is too strong. And obviously the 6-player quant is too strong. Like it takes ages to do this stuff solo. How often do people 6-mana Monstrous Treasure map? Quite a bit. But that's the problem. Quite a bit. A lot of people are doing that, and all the richest people are doing that. Like Pause is doing that every league, Empyrean's doing that every league. They're doing 6-man because it's like insane, right? And that's something that isn't accessible for the majority of the community. Like a lot of people say Friends feels bad, man, but simply a lot of people, A, don't want to play with 6 people all the time, and they don't have 5 other people they can trust. So it just like makes this insane discrepancy between the player base. Like if you start removing a portal, per CRB put in, you're hurting maybe 0.01% of the community. And I think you're balancing it out quite a lot. I think. So but that's interesting. I really like that suggestion. It's been 18 months since you posted the trade manifesto. Do you still stand by it? The question has prompted a long discussion. Many hours of senior developers talking about trade. Our conclusion was yes, we do stand by everything we wrote in the manifesto. We are not adding a trade market to the PC version of Path of Exile. Thank fucking Christ. However, there's a lot of things they need to fix. They do need PoE trading game. Whenever I've been talking to the last Epoch devs, a lot lately, and they've said we never want the player to feel like they should have to alt tab, and I think that is important. I feel like, and I've heard that Reddit are very angry about a lot of things about this, but I feel like there's the middle ground where everybody's happy. Keep reading. Trying to trade in bulk maps, currency, and fragments is incredibly inconvenient and time-consuming. And leading to more time spent attempting to acquire items to play the game rather than actually playing the game. Could improvements to the trade system for these types of items be made to help better facilitate bulk trading? The question has also prompted a long discussion, which has turned into a conversation about how people acquire specific maps for Atlas completion. Our current thoughts is that we could make this easier, and so we're considering adding an occasional chance for map bosses to drop a map from an adjacent location. Oh. Meh. If we go ahead with this in 3.7, you'll see it in the patch notes. From now on, there will be no changes to trade itself related to this. That's fine. Yeah, I know, Loki. I don't know how to fix it. Adjacent location. Does that mean like a tier 11 can drop another tier 11? What does adjacent location? Atlas adjacent. But they already do that. I'm so confused. Am I not understanding something? Connected? But it is connected. Same tier, not connected. Worded poorly. Extra drop chance for bosses. I think adjacent equals same tier. I think so too, because they already can drop the one that's connected to. Just add more chance. I thought they already did. It already has a chance. If they wanted it to just... Like, this seems very badly worded. Because it already... Bosses currently have a map bonus. The last boss you kill in a map currently has a bonus to drop maps. This already happens. So this must just be worded very incorrectly. Because if they wanted to say that it's going to be an additional chance or more chance, they would just say we're increasing the chance. Not the same tier you haven't unlocked. Yes, that was what I asked. Is it different? Different map, not connected. but this says adjacent, which means connected. I'm thinking what they maybe meant was a tier 10 map can drop another tier 10 map. Map that's connected to current map. It already can do that. This makes no sense then. The only thing that would make sense if a tier 10 map can drop another tier 10 map that's not connected, just as a rare chance. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's an extra chance. Then the wording still makes no sense. This is so weird wording. This is like the weirdest thing I've seen in a manifesto. The wording makes no sense. Hold on, let me ask what Namike said. It's a separate chances to drop a map connected on the atlas by the boss. It makes perfect sense. But it already has that. Another one. Okay. Still weird wording. Okay. We'll just move on. It's just weird. Have you considered creating an in-game version of Path of Exile wiki for convenience? We're probably going to embed a web browser in the client that will be able to load the wiki, trade sites, and other community resources. I mean, that fixes a lot of the problems, to be fair. Oberschutz, thank you for the Twitch Prime. That fixes a lot of the problems. If it's good enough. I mean, I think it's going to be... Oh, I almost toppled my coat. I mean, I still don't know why they don't just put PoE trading game. Actually, I can see why. It's too close to an auction house and people will make it just me an auction house. Do you think that the last few leagues mechanics, namely Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Synthesis, discourage the creation of new characters due to progress, mostly being character bound? And if so, do you have any plans to address this? Incursion was per character, but had a low cycle time, 11 areas. So you were only losing a small amount of progress if you made a new character. Delve was initially per character, but we changed this to per count when the problem became too apparent. Betrayal was per character and had a longer cycle time than Incursion, but it was not really possible to make this per account. We don't see a big problem here. You can still come back and finish that particular mastermind cycle if you want to. Synthesis was per character and spawned boss and rewards memories rather rapidly so that you weren't losing a reward state if you started a new character. It would have been hard to make this per account because various memories had specific levels associated with them. We do consider this when making leagues and we'll try to make the right decision. We don't want players to have anything that would discourage them from trying out new characters. There's several ways to fix that though. You could make... What about downscaling? What if you could... There shouldn't be anything. What if I could force... Say I've been playing on my like beefy 80x character for a while, right? And clearing 83 nexuses. What if I can just willingly go like, okay, well, I'm on a new character now. I want to tune down every map in my nexus to 72. Not like the other way around, not from 72 to 83. But there's no inherent advantage from 83 to 72 other than it's lower level now. It's easier for my low level character. The rewards get scaled down, everything's fine. You still used 83 ones on that, and you still get to have one nexus. Right? If you can scale it down to your other characters. Or maybe you have the option. No, the Cortex would still be 83. I'm not talking about the placed things. Just like the ones you can place and the new ones that spawn. Like the placed things, like the bosses, they already spawn with 83. They don't need to be for low level characters. That's fine. It's interesting. Do you plan on improving the drops from map bosses so they feel as rewarding as the rest of the map, or are you happy with them as they are? Map bosses generally don't drop a lot of items relative to the rest of the map. They actually don't drop anything at all. But they also usually don't take a lot of time to fight. We haven't killed any map boss for the last 2 years, so we're completely unaware that some bosses take 20 minutes worth of staged fights. But hey, some bosses die quickly and others are more substantial fights, and there's no difference in the loot tables for these fights. We're going to add extra monsters that yield items and experience to the substantial boss fights during their mitigation phases to make them worth the time of fighting them more. Examples of maps that have been modified in this way is Belfry, Lava Lake, Sunken City, and Gardens. We'll keep propagating this to more maps over time. I don't... Okay. Ugh. It's just frustrating. The main thing I'm happy about in this is that they're sticking to no auction house. Is there a reason there are a limited number of balance changes to every skill in every expansion? Each expansion is planned, developed, and tested and released within 13 weeks. This limits the number of specific skills that we can change and fully test within that cycle. Scroll, please. Oh, you're right. Sorry. This limits the number of specific skills that we can change and are fully tested within that cycle. The test of these skills has to occur within the context of other changes in the expansion. Like if we're hypothetically changing how accuracy or leech works, then a skill that cares about these needs to be tested under the new systems. With 3.6 and 3.7, we're quite pleased with the number of existing skills we've been able to improve. Nice. How do you handle Q&A and development processes? Do you work with different teams on different parts of the game, or do you work feature by feature with everyone involved? Do you use agile methods? Hey, I know what that is. Everyone generally works on everything that fits within their specialization. Sometimes we assign a specific person to work on some long-term projects, but most of the time the developers are working on a combination of features for the next expansion, fixes to the last one, and longer-term changes. It helps keep enough variety in the work and lets people work on things that they're good at and feel ownership of the particular systems in the game. Path of Exile doesn't use agile methodology because we have a rapid release cycle and we get many of its advantages. Alright. Do DDD split bugs and patching into its own team, or are the same people responsible for making the new content? The same people work on making the content and fixing that content if it's broken. Having someone fix it who didn't work on it would introduce even more problems. At what point during a development cycle do QA get to properly test the new league's content? They test it thoroughly through its development, but only get to do serious testing in the last few weeks once all the parts of it are in. For some league that came in too late, this period has indeed been too short, and this is something we're working on improving. Are there plans to update the game engine? We update it constantly with each new league and released dozens of major improvements over the last few years. Our engine team grows year by the year, and there's plenty more to come. I still don't know what happened in 2.6. It used to be so smooth. Do you plan to release PoE in the PlayStation Store in Japan? Ideally, but this involves getting a Japanese translation, which will take some time and resources. Are there any plans to change the 6-second disconnect timer duration? Yes, but we haven't prioritized them. Please! That's like a #1 priority. It's like one of the main reasons hardcore is so underpopulated right now. It's the main thing. It's the last thing. It's the last complaint. It fixes hardcore. Feels bad, Hashla. Just change the number. Just make it 3. Ugh. So frustrated. Can you explain? Yes, I can. Okay, so if you're playing right now and you log out and you're having packet loss, wow, I look really white. I just realized I've been screwing with my color filtering. I'm like more tan IRL, but it seems to work better for my hair. But anyway, if you disconnect right now, at the same time you have packet loss, and sometimes the server won't acknowledge that you've disconnected. And what that means is it'll keep you in for 6 whole seconds. Now, let's see. Six whole seconds is actually quite a long time. Because it might not sound like very long. But standing still in a map that long, that's almost 7. Standing still in a map for that long without being able to attack or do anything is obviously detrimental to your health, right? That's a very long time when you're like not leeching, something like that. And this is like just if your client crashes, if your internet goes down, you're in for 6 seconds, right? That's a very long time. Now, the reason it's so high is that, say, Bacchus is playing on a shitty connection, right? He's lagging out and like DCing almost. But that means that he gets to stay in and keep playing the game. It'll just catch up a bit for him. So that's fine. That's why that's in. What players want, what a lot of us want, is the ability to customize this. I have a really stable connection. I could play with this on 1 second. So it would keep me in the game for 1 second, right? And then DC me. Now, the reason why they don't have that in is because Bacchus is a fucking idiot, doesn't know what this setting is, and Bacchus put it to 1 second. Now he's disconnecting all the time, right? And now support has to fix that problem for him. That's why they haven't done it. Now, if they put this in the config files, which is what we've suggested, so most people won't be able to access them, then I would edit, open the config, and put mine to 1. Now, the problem is, they still feel like people are too stupid and that a streamer would make a guide on this and Bacchus would be like, Zizaran put his at 1, I'm going to put mine at 1. Oh, why am I disconnecting? So, basically, they're saying we're too fucking dumb to have this. They're not wrong, but it's still really frustrating. They are right. People are that dumb, and this will happen. There are a lot of Bacchus out there. Sorry for using your Bacchus. You're just the first name I saw. Because somebody would put this to 0.01. So they are right, but it's very frustrating. And I want it fixed. Because a lot of people like using excuses, right? Like, oh, there's so many crashes. I'm going to die on hardcore. Or there's so many one-shots in the game. I'm not going to play on hardcore. But the most valid one of them all is my character's going to be out in the game for 6 seconds when I disconnect. That's the most, like, if you look through my entire rip playlist, which I think is like 120, 130 rips and 17,000 hours, there are very few that are out of my control. Most of the time, it's I forgot my cold rest. I attacked a reflect map. A volatile killed me. And like, there's been things that I could have done to avoid it, right? So there's very few that are like, oh my god, I fucking disconnect. But there are, and even the 6 second disconnect timer, that's only happened to me twice. But that's still twice too many. So that's sort of the 6 second disconnect timer, and that's something that's very frustrating. It's not such a big deal for me. I have a very stable connection, and when I log out, it does log me out. It's been a very big problem for example, Rise QT and Dan. Dan and Steel, anyone in Australia actually, has a massive chance of dying to this because the net simply isn't as stable. So it's not a problem for everybody, but it's something that is a relatively easy fix. Like, they could... Oh, this is harder, and this is probably why they haven't prioritized them. Is something they could do is have it measure if you're not disconnecting and you put it, say you have like the low, medium, and high, right? If you click low, you have a 2 second DC timer. 2 is a lot better than 6. It's not perfect, but say you put it to low, then you have a 2 second DC timer. If it like starts DCing you like normally, like say Bacchus puts it to low and it starts DCing him, it'll come up with a recommendation. You might have put this setting too low, recommend setting to medium, and Bacchus might be like click, and he'll just click confirm, right? And then it's up medium and he's not disconnecting anymore, and he's got a 4 second disconnect timer now, right? That would be, yeah, that would be a good one. Would you be happy to see the logout macro gone? No. They would have to change the entire game. That does not seem viable at all. The current game does not work without that. They would have to change everything. That seems like way too much work. I don't like discussing the logout macro a lot. And Chris has said that they're going to put the logout macro in-game. That's also not a priority. But I think it's a good way of balancing it. In a perfect world, like in 2050, where there's no stability issues, I think the logout macro has no place. But in the current one, where there are disconnects, there are crashes, then the logout macro needs to be there. The reason why, say Elgarath is fighting Uber Elder, right? And he disconnects. Or like he's freezing. Like, it's just important that your character disappears as fast as possible. It's important that it disconnects as fast as possible and doesn't keep you in. Right? And then you're always going to have the... Like, if you stayed in, like, some people want your character to stay in for a minute mid-fight when you log out. Right? But that's going to fuck over everyone. Like, say Algarath is, like, playing on hardcore and he's killing Uber Elder, and, like, his cat fucking pulls out the network cable. It's really unfair for Algarath to lose his character because his cat fucking nailed his cable. Right? That's not a good feeling. In an ideal world where there's no DCs or internet stability or crashes, that's fine. But that's shitty. I really like Path of Exile's way of dealing with it. Diablo has a different way of dealing with it. In Diablo 3, you cannot lose your character because there's so many cheat death mechanics. And from what I understand and what I've talked to a lot of Diablo 3 players, that's why there's so few people playing hardcore, because it's just not really that fun. You can't lose a character. The cheat death mechanic's OP. Every character has it. Not that there's many Diablo players to begin with, but hey. I like Path of Exile's way of making a logout macro just a skill shot. I think it's great. It's basically a skill shot similar to Life Flasks. And I think it's really good design. I like it. I think it should be in-game as well. I think that would stop a lot of the debate. But yeah, I think it's really cool. So it's basically like a skill. So I way prefer that over the Diablo 3 cheat death mechanic. And there's pros and cons. The simple thing is, if you don't like it, don't use it, right? So the problem is, again, with stability issues, it's a lot better to have it out of game. If they made it in game like they've said they will, you should still use an out of game one. So, you know, I think it's a good one. It's the same for me. I look at it as wearing Life Flasks. It's the same thing. It's just another skill shot. So that's sort of how I feel about the logout macro. And I'm glad they wanna put it in game. No, I don't see the point in that, Coily. It's literally quitting the game when you make a mistake. Yep. I think it's really good. I think it's really good. It requires skill to do. I mean, look at my death playlist. It's not like logout macro makes you invincible. You still die a lot by the way the game's designed. If you remove it, you're talking thousands of hours of development time. You're talking about maybe like no leagues for a while. Like, it's going to take them forever to change the game around that. You can't have the current game not have it. Look how many times you die still. So, it would be terrible to remove it. The current game is not viable without it. How do you even remove it? I mean, there are very few people who play without it on a hard level. It should only be for disconnects, and policing that simply does not work. So they've balanced the game around it instead, Elgarath. The game is balanced around your ability to instantly log out. Chris said himself that he logs out, and that's fine. That's the way they want to run the game. Don't like it, don't use it. Don't like the way the game's made, play another game. But don't make other people feel bad about not doing something wrong. That's never fair. I think if you think about it, it's never fair. Like, it's like making somebody feel bad about playing SSF. Like, it's intended, the developer said fine. Like, it's completely unacceptable to make somebody feel bad about it. They don't want the game played like that, it's just too late at this point, then the developer wouldn't be using it himself. So that's sort of like the end all be all of my thoughts. Like, do whatever you want as a personal challenge, right? Don't use the logo macro. That's fine. Play with only your left arm. That's fine. But don't make... Oh, come on, Ziz. Take a fresh look. It's not part of the game. It's Alt F4, the game. But it's the way the developer has intended it. And you can't say what's right or wrong for the game. The developer does. The developer tells you what you can and can't do. And they've strictly said, you can do this. They're strictly saying in another manifesto that I think I have a link to as a command that we have intended this. There's a big manifesto. I think it's, is it exclamation mark logout? There, exclamation mark logout. You can read that manifesto that I just posted in chat and read what they said there. They've intended this. And it's not fair for you as a random nobody that knows nothing about how the game was made to tell them, no, you're wrong with your game. That's not fair. And making somebody else feel shit for the way they're enjoying the game within the rules, you're being a dick. You're being a massive dick. That's all there is to it. If you want to impose snowflake rules on yourself, like you want to make a custom league with like 300% damage or something, that's fine. But don't make other people feel bad because they're not playing real hardcore. Right? I don't make fun of people who play softcore. I'm happy people are playing the same game as me. There's nothing wrong with playing softcore. Nothing wrong with playing hardcore. So giving your opinions is wrong? Okay. No, now you're trying to twist my words. I'm saying you should never actively feel bad about how someone's playing the game as long as it doesn't violate the rules. That's the important part. Like, don't twist my words. You're allowed to have an opinion. It's fine to not like the logout macro. Just don't make other people... But you agree that people shouldn't log out unless they have disconnects? It just cannot be policed? No, because the game... Like, if you're, like, running without a life flask and stuff, and you don't have corrupting blood flask, and you get 20 seconds of corrupting blood, just log out. The game is balanced around it. Read the post that I wrote in chat. They've literally balanced the game around it. Can we go on? We can. We will go on. I think I've said my piece. But read that before you talk about it. At least educate yourself if you're going to have a discussion. Like, feelings are great, but... Right. Let's see. Do you have any plans to make sustaining maps less tied up with past league content like Betrayal, Delve, and Incursion? We have two options. We can either make so you don't get maps during past league content and buff the non-map rewards, or have some reliance on those systems for providing map drops. Because people tend not to play content like this that doesn't have map drops, we pick the option where leagues content drops maps. I like that. I prefer that. I do like that. Can you comment on the state of spam bots in chat? We're putting resources into this, and while it appears from the outside that this is having no effect because there's still spam, we're stopping almost all of it and hope to improve it over time. Yeah, I can imagine how much it would be if there weren't. To be fair though, like just having one employee in charge of banning people, you should be able to get so many. I guess there's just too many. It's a free-to-play game. I think, like, sure, it looks like a lot, but in a free-to-play game, it's very hard to deal with. That's why I wish Path of Exile cost $10. It would stop so much of it. Like, last EPOG is going to cost $15, and they will not have the same problems with bots and spam and RMT. Because if you ban them, it's just so much better. Like, free-to-play is great, and for things like Dota and stuff, it doesn't matter. But, yeah. And it's never going to cost $10. It's too late, right? But I wish it did. Make it cost $5? Yeah, like just any. Even if it costs $1. Okay, maybe that's too little. I don't know. What about D2s? There was a problem there. Did they even ban bots there though? Like, if they're... Okay, so I'll explain. If Path of Exile are policing it heavily, and there is a cost, then at some point, if they do it well enough, then it's not worth it, right? For the people doing it, it's just a graph. Are we making more money than we're losing? Yes, then they'll continue doing it. Or are we losing more money, right? No one's going to do anything if they're losing money on it. And a case in point of this is that there was just recently a big RMT site that shut down because GGG had in that season been so good at banning everything that they were losing money. And they made a big post. It's with big regret that we're shutting down our site. GGG have been too good at banning it, so we're no longer selling Path of Exile Chaos Orbs. Right? They shut down completely. And that's even without like a $10 fee. So if you had like, obviously, I'm not saying they should have a $10 fee. I'm saying it's a good thing for future games. Just games like this are really hard on free to play. So the better, no, it was on Reddit, Mars. The better that they are able to do this, as long as it's not worth it, then, you know, like, I'm not saying like just making, say if you made it $60, right? That wouldn't do anything by its own. It's about policing it at the same time. Anything you can do to make it worth less for the sites. You must have some vague plans of what development will look like after 4.0. Are we going to see any major changes to how things are running? All our efforts are focused on 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, and 3.10. Whoa, what? There's the 3.10? And any other expansions leading up to and including 4.0. When's... Right, okay, let's try to predict. Okay, so 3.7 starting in June 7th. 2, 3. September 6th for 3.8. 1, 2, 3. December 6th for 3.9. 1, 2, 3. March 20th. Sorry, March 6th for 3.10. 1, 2, 3. June 5th for 3.11 or 4.0. They're gonna wait. 1, 2, 3. There's gonna be a 3.11 and 3.12. 3.12 will be September 2020. 1, 2, 3. 4.0 is gonna be Friday the 4th, December 2020. Is my bet. Right? Right? There's no reason to develop. If Diablo 4 was out, then 4.0 would be out. Like, bam. But it has to be 2020 December, right? It makes the most sense. Why would you not release at Christmas? They said 4.0 after 3.9, then they wouldn't post there. This is not an accident. And any other expansions leading up to, right? They're saying there's going to be more. So, I think they will do December. They also didn't release 3.0 Christmas. No, but look at the league they last released on Christmas. You saw the stats. We all saw the stats. December's fucking insane. Were you counting 3 weeks at a time? No, 3 months. No, I know their schedule. This is exactly how they release. I know for a fact because they even said they timed it around Christmas, Vash. I know the release dates. They're very simple to figure out. They're also made that way, so it's easy to figure out. They would need to give stuff away if it costs $10 or $5, like one stash. Oh yeah, even if they give away like 5 or 10 stashes, that'd be fine. Wait, was there a 2.10? Wasn't it 2.9 and then 3.0? I can't remember. But there's the 3.10 here, and they also said and any other expansions leading up to. So I would be okay, I wouldn't be that surprised if it comes out in summer. But I think the earliest, right, is like June 2020. That has to be the earliest they can release. Earliest is Friday 5th, June 2020. And I mean, they could also do in September. Surely September would be garbage though. They said 13 weeks at a time. I've not been wrong with a league prediction. And if it's 13 weeks at a time, it won't line up with Christmas. It's a 13-week development schedule, Vaush. There's 1 week in there that does not include development. Or something. 13 weeks is 3 months? Yeah, it works exactly the way I've said. Like, feel free to point out where I was wrong. Because if it's exactly... Yeah, no, it works. It works. 100%. How do you even know when next Christmas is? When a league is in development, is it designed for it to be implemented into the core game? Not always. For Bestiary, Incursion, Delve, and Betrayal, we had a specific plan to put it in the game together with 3.5 release. Most leagues are assessed after we've had a chance to see how the community feels about them. Are we going to see any improvements to guilds? Yes, but it is not a high priority. We have to get ahead of the core development before we can focus on complex quality of life features. Having said that, we are always keen to hear about the guild functionality can be improved in case some of these improvements can come earlier than the hard ones. Will there ever be South African servers? We can add servers to a new region once we know that we have access to a reliable server host at cost-efficient pricing. Enough local players to justify the region and test the servers meet our reliability standards. I don't know which one of these issues have prevented South Africa in particular, but we'll bring it up with the server team to make sure it's considered. To be fair, like the guild thing, it must be really hard, right? It must be really hard because every game I've played where the guild stash is like really smooth and crispy, there's been so many dupe exploits. Seems really hard to do, just from like a developing point of view. It's usually always the guild stash that breaks duping. Hypothetically speaking, if every single developer on Path of Exile team gets horribly sick for 3 months and you have no time to develop any content for a new league, your only option is to rerun one of the past leagues. Which one do you pick and why? This is a tricky one. Until recently, our answer would have been Legacy. Yeah, why wouldn't that be the answer? But we've gradually added those old league mechanics in so many places that Legacy wouldn't be quite as impactful as it was in the first time we run it. Dude, just give everyone reliquary keys and everyone's sitting there beating off and not caring what's in the game. Kidding me? Most of the recent leagues have been added to the core gameplay, so rerunning something like Delve isn't that much of a big difference from the core game. Having said that, we're constantly looking for smart league designs that don't require amounts of content and are fun to play. Hopefully we can stockpile a few of these for the future in case the hypothetical plague hits. That's really smart. When do you think reliquary keys are coming back? Because they've said they want to bring it back, they just don't want to have it permanently in the game. They're going to bring it back like one league, another league. For those of you who don't know what reliquary key is, they've had two types of reliquary keys. They've had the first reliquary key drop literally legacy items. This meant that you could get legacy Vinctar, which was insane. Like its life leech is instant. And you could get the 1000 life combs heart and stuff like that. And you could get like the legacy reach of the council, right? So, but yeah. And then the second version just gave Cross League. But they were a lot rarer. Nicey Facebreakers, yeah. So that's been 2, and they're really exciting. I want more stuff like that. I love when something like that drops. I actually didn't have one drop at all. I had the first one drop, but not the second time they introduced them. We're going to continue the unique item balance changes that you began in Betrayal. I expect the scope and nature of unique balance changes is going to vary from expansion to expansion. In 3.7, let's just say there are certainly some uniques being rebalanced. You'll find out soon. Do you have a stash planned for fossils and resonators? We plan to make fossils stack game-wide. Oh, sorry. And then evaluate whether a tab is still needed. There are some still technical hurdles where we need to overcome before the stacking is possible. Scroll up? I mean down? Sorry. I'm like reading on 2 different monitors so my neck doesn't get fucked. Are the office hours fixed time, or are most people working with flex time? Or are most of the teams shift-based, or at least the support and technical teams, e.g. network and server infrastructure? The development team can work whenever they want to, though most people are typically in the office during the middle of the day, regardless of whether they work early or late. Our customer support team are shift-based, and our server team have an on-call roster. Rooster! Cool. Dude, it seems like such a good company to work for. Mario Arki buff confirmed. Dude, Mario Arki used to be like such a pog drop. It used to be like 5 or 10x, maybe more. Mario Arki. I think faded versions is such a good way. I honestly feel like faded versions. I think Prophecy is probably one of my favorite things they've added to the game. Oh, damn, Plisky. That's crazy. I think Prophecy is one of the most important things they've added to the game. Because they can, without buffing the initial unique, like, they can add, like, crazy ones that are super rare. And they can, like, it's a great system. Prophecy is so good. Yeah, it's so versatile and dynamic. I think it's probably Essence, Prophecy, and Fossils are, like, some of the best ones. Like, I hated Prophecy League, and I think they did it really badly. Yeah, like in Series Mirror. They did it really badly. Like, the Prophecy League could have been way better, but it's such a good system. Not working it for SSF, but SSF doesn't matter. The mechanic, but it doesn't, or sorry, the argument, but it doesn't work well for SSF should never be an argument. Because they specifically said, hey, we're putting SSF in the game because a lot in the community wanted it, but we are never going to balance the game around SSF. It's a voluntary, it's like playing with one hand behind your back, right? It's something you're taking on as a voluntary player. You're not doing it to get an increase. And I think that's the good approach. The game should never be balanced around SSF. Game shouldn't be balanced around standard either. I agree. Same way for hardcore in a way. Yes. That's a lie though. How do you mean? How is that a lie? Although that's not necessarily fair. Initially, when they started development... Oh yeah, I like Sloss, thank you for the Twitch Prime, and Edwin, thank you for the Twitch Prime as well. When they started development of the game, they didn't want softcore in the game. Because a lot of the original OG devs are D2 hardcore players. And they were initially considering not having softcore at all, but then marketing was like, you need softcore or you're not going to have a game, which is true. Like, the game would never have taken off with only hardcore. Crep era, yeah, it used to be a lot more toxic as well towards softcore players, which now it's evened out a lot. But it even was to the point where on a podcast, Chris was calling softcore for scrubcore. So it's changed a lot since then. Definitely changed a lot since then. Has the port of Path of Exile to PlayStation made any advancements towards controller support for PC? Is there a VOD? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Chat went wild. It was funny. We're interested in doing this, but there's no timeline. It's tricky because we'd have to swap out the game's entire user interface. But you can play with a controller on PC. I've done it. It's fine. What? Why do... I'm confused. Like, Safarian does it. I've done it. It's fine. Like, it's completely fine to play with a controller on PC. Oh, supported in-game. But you can do that as an extra thing anyway. It's only one program, isn't it? People aren't smart and can't set it up. That's fair. It is a bit hard. Yeah. Also, like, part of the reason, for those of you who are new and, like, don't understand what I was talking about with the toxicity, part of the reason that the game was so toxic towards softcore players was... a lot of it was to do with Crip and the way he played the game, and nearly everybody in the community was playing hardcore. You would even end up getting banned from streams chats if you said you were a softcore player. So it used to be, like, unironically, it was not cool. I hated it. I played hardcore too, but I thought it was, like, so dumb. It was, like, super toxic towards softcore players. You would never, like, admit back then if you played softcore. And if you ever, like, watch a really old VOD on, like, Crips friends list and stuff, most people will be on hardcore. So it was super toxic back then. But that was also sort of how games were back then. Filthy software players. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy people are playing the same game as me. I don't really care what they do. I mean, I would like more people to play hardcore, just have more people to trade with than just Daniel, but... Dan and Embu and me. Console players get the same toxicity now. Yeah, I mean, I don't care what you play it on. Just as long as you're having fun with Path of Exile, you're good in my book. So it's all Crip's fault? Yes, that's what I meant. No, I mean, it was just different back then. Is there any update to the implementation of text chat on console platforms? We really want to get this deployed. We have something that is 80% implemented, but is still a few weeks of development away. The developer owner who was working with it unfortunately left our company recently to start his own project, so console chat is still in limbo until we free someone up to take over. He said no and left. What are your thoughts about performance on console platforms? Improving performance on all platforms is going to be a goal of our growing engine team. Within the next few workdays, we'll be displaying a patch that makes a number of memory-related performance improvements to the console platforms. Memory usage and memory-related crash rates are improving on both Xbox One and PS4. On the Xbox One, we have a split out the 4K textures so that they're only downloaded by the Xbox One X version. While this does require a re-download, it's smaller and has faster load times, reduced memory usage, and significantly fewer memory-related crashes. Please note that if you encounter stuttering during gameplay or are working on a wireless internet connection, try unplugging an Ethernet cable. Almost all the time, this has dramatic impact on the network-related stuttering, which pauses the local game simulation when a packet loss occurs, but then until the data arrives. Can we have a short AFK timer so that players who aren't at their console don't have items reappear on the trade market? This won't work. If we require players to be at their console for others to see their items, then players will just find a way to get around it. We already banned popsicle sticks. I really don't want to ban rubber bands too. That is really funny. That was really funny. I love that. That's very woke, very fourth wall. What's popsicle sticks? If you eat an ice cream and you use the popsicle stick, break it a little bit to put it on your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like if you read the terms of agreement when you installed Path of Exile, you agree that they can see your keyboard through a webcam. That they go into your apartment and put down a webcam. So if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a popsicle stick, you get banned. Can we get crossplay between console platforms? That would be awesome. Players should let Sony know that they're interested in crossplay being enabled for Path of Exile. Yeah, between console platforms, it would be awesome. What will be done about people sending abusive messages on the console trade market? We want to add a reporting feature. It just hasn't been a high priority. So what they're saying is right now, if you're playing a console and somebody's flaming you, just take it. Show keyboard plays. I can't. I'll get banned. When will trap pricing for console be ready? This is a feature that requires very senior developers to implement it. I'm imagining like an old ancient sage developer coming in. Oh yes, I know how to add this. And they have perpetually busy with critical tasks for a very long time. We want to see it done. Do you have any plans to introduce PvP on console? This is a really low priority because almost no one uses PvP features on PC and they're very much a critical mass to find opponents. Will we ever get custom item filters on console platforms? No. Now that we've added support for console players to be able to log into the website, this is something we can work on. What about guilds and guild stashes on console platforms? The missing ingredient was the ability for console users to log into the website to manage their guilds. Now that this works, we can finish off the console users interface for this feature as soon as we have the time around our other commitments. We should note that it requires chat to be finished to be fully useful. Are there any improvements coming to desync and rubber banding under predictive mode or on consoles? We believe that this still be tightened up more. Our last big push to identify and find subtle bugs that cause desync under predictive mode was a few years ago when we introduced lockstep mode. It's possible that a few more have crept in since then, and while we take an inordinate amount of time to track it down, it'll still be worth it. In 3.6, you stopped supporting DirectX 9. Will you stop supporting 32-bit clients as well? Eventually, yes. The 64-bit client is significantly better from a memory point of view, and once the rate of people using 32-bit versions drop low enough, we'll eventually be able to stop supporting it. This will not be in the near future. So like 5 years? Are there plans to rework what race seasons were and bring them back in the foreseeable future, or in any words, any short event series that lasts longer than a weekend and is available for everyone, not only streamers or players who signed up for certain leagues? Races are awesome, but the big race seasons we used to run weren't the best way to approach it. Interest dropped off pretty fast during a race season, and a lot of development time was spent on their rewards. These seasons were also caused players to feel like they had to wake up at all hours to participate in as many races as possible. We have plans to extend our private league system into a custom race system. We'll post more details about this when it's getting closer to release. This doesn't mean we won't be running races in the meantime, just that they probably won't be structured as formal seasons. Nice. Now that Method has the Path of Exile team, are you going to support, sponsor more community race events? Wow, I'm surprised this is in here. We are providing prizes for 4 events, which will see the winner of each event flown to New Zealand to compete in racing finals at ExileCon in November. 2 of the races are run by community members, 1 by an esports company, and 1 by us. We hope to increase support in the future. Man, I really wonder who the community members are. I just wish I knew. You know? I wish I knew. Why is the beat race an invitational with only top streamers invited? That's the format for the race they wanted to run, and we trust their decision. Well, you shouldn't. They consulted with the community members and racers about how they wanted to run it and checked it with us. They didn't consult about the price, by the way. We understand that there's been a lot of community concern about the fairness of this ExileCon's prize package not being available for general entry. The other 3 races which yield ExileCon prize package are public entry. We should have clarified this in the initial post and explained the structure in advance. I'm very sorry for the poor communication on this. We'll have more information about the other races in news as soon as we have dates locked in. Who did they consult with? They did not consult about the prize. Did not know that the prize was an ExileCon ticket. Like, I was invited to this fucking 2 or 3 months ago, and all I was asked was like, hey, do you want to be in a Katawa race with $2,000? And I was like, dude, sweet, more races. Hell yeah. This is great. And then, like, I woke up, like, a few days ago, and everyone's like, have you seen the thing? And I'm like, oh, they've announced it? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, what the fuck? ExileCon ticket? Are you fucking kidding me? So, that was like, I never knew about that. I never knew that. I just knew about, like, I was like, sweet, $2,000 in a fun race that, like, everybody will enjoy watching with shoutcasting and stuff. Sounds fucking great. So you didn't want to race players? Shit gamer? What do you mean? I don't understand your question, Blubberella. So they invited someone who already had the first prize? No. Everybody, as far as I understand and know, I have to qualify for ExileCon as well. Bonk, thank you for the 3 months to Prime, dude. And Edwin, thank you for the Twitch Prime too. The price is a ticket and an invitation to a race? Yeah, I mean, I already have a ticket. GGG are flying me to ExileCon. I don't, as far as I know, unless something's gonna change, I don't have an invitation to the race. So like me, Camel, Havoc, everybody that's been arranging races and stuff still have to qualify for this final race. As far as I know. What should we expect from the race final at ExileCon? We're flying over 4 people who win the ExileCon prize package throughout the year to compete on ExileCon stage in the Grand Racing Finals. This will be streamed live and casted so you can watch it from home if you're not attending in person. The exact details of the race structure and its pricing have not been announced yet, and we're expecting it to be a very interesting competition. The year's experiment of having 4 races feed into the final is also a small-scale test on how it goes, and we're hoping to ramp support up for this in the future. Well, this will be the 4 best, because, like, yeah, this will be 4 best. The final ExileCon race will literally be the 4 best players. Ask after the video I'm doing at the moment, so let me. Yes, by Twix. Like, the main problem people are having with the Invitational is that, sure, there's a couple of players that are in the best, but there are players that don't have access to the Invitational that are better than people in the beat race, right? Everybody that's in the beat race is a good racer. They're just not necessarily the best right now. But still, like, top 3 of the best players there are, like, there's definitely some people that are top 5. So the final race is going to be top 4. I'm a little bit worried. If it's just 4 players, they have to do it softcore. Which is fine. But I'm a little bit worried about how it's going to be. But either way, I'm excited to are getting more into racing. I wish I was a bit more involved than I am, though. I was also, but like, either way, it's very unfair to give anyone who's in the race. Thankfully, I haven't been getting much flack except from one guy because I've been practicing a lot on racing, so pretty happy with how I'm doing lately. But there's a few players who've gotten so much shit for being in the beat race, and that's really not fair because first of all, we did not know, none of the people in the beat race knew that one of the prizes was an ExileCon ticket, which changes everything. Who's the one guy? I can't remember. It was some random dude on Reddit that was like Ziz only started racing after joining Method, and I was like, feels weird, man. Seabreeze, thank you for the 30 months, dude. I'll give you a proper thank you after the video here. So I was a bit triggered. Like, obviously, I've been like fucking tryharding race practice for super tryhard last 6 months, and then been racing for 3 years. But hey, who even listens to Reddit? Well, no, but public opinion's interesting. Proper apology. Would you consider creating more alternative game modes besides Private League, such as the previous April's Fool's game, Battle Royale? We really enjoy making things like Royale and would love to create more games when we find time. Realistically, our schedule leading up to 4.0 is packed enough that I don't expect us to release an alternate game mode like Royale before then, unless we think of a brilliant idea that is so awesome that we can't help but distract ourselves with it. Royale was so fun. Why did we choose Flashback over Mayhem and Turmoil for the end of the League Synthesis event? Feedback and data. I knew this was going to be it. Feedback and data shows us that players prefer to play an unvoided league so they can keep their items. Oh, hold on, I need to scroll. We also provide an opportunity for players to complete their synthesis challenge, which wouldn't have been possible for Mayhem and Turmoil. From a design philosophy point of view, our team feels that it's a slow burn event is better than a quick rush of adrenaline that Mayhem gives you. You get a variety of different mods rather than a giant number of one specific thing. It's something we enjoy more, and we felt the players would as well. Historically, there was a much higher engagement with Flashback than with other event types. Having said that, we have definitely heard your feedback and will bear it in mind. And they're not necessarily wrong, because all of us that are active players, all of us here that are active players, right? And we're on Reddit, we're on stuff like that. We're only part of the community. We're loud, but we're only part of the community. They see all the stats. They're reading the Path of Exile forum. I bet you we fucking don't read this. I don't. But who actually says that wants to keep his currency on standard? A lot of people do. A lot of people. I've seen so many people say, I don't like playing standard, but I also don't want to lose my currency after. They like volleying stuff. They like spamming chaos on random items. They don't like having the full loss. That is a lot of players. I don't feel that way. I don't give a shit if it's voided, but a lot of people do. Voided feels kind of bad. See, there's people in chat right now that feel that way. I don't, but there are people that do. Like, my way isn't the right way. And so I could definitely see Flashback being more popular. Ban that guy. It's allowed to like different things. Like, in one way, I prefer Voided. Because Voided, it gives you this, like, freedom. It's sort of like being handed a death sentence, but in a game, right? You're losing everything, so you can use everything. You can use a mirror, you can exalt, slam left, right, and center, and play in a completely different way, right? So it is actually kind of cool. So it's actually not as bad. And I don't know. I think the next Voided event, if hyped up properly, it would do better. So I think I actually kind of didn't explain it that way the last time too. I feel like next time, if it happens again, I would explain it better. What about, like, for example, if it's... I know I wouldn't use... Okay, before we move on to the next topic. If I'm playing Mayhem Voided, right? And a mirror drop, I will use that mirror. I'll maybe use it on something fun or like a ring or something useful or a 6-link and sell that to another player. But if this league is going to standard, I will not use that mirror. Because I do care enough about a mirror. I wouldn't care about an Exile to carry that to standard, but a mirror, I can use that on an alt art. I'll use that. I won't waste the mirror. Like, that's too big. So there's, even for me there's a difference. I don't mind it being voided though, even if I got a mirror drop, because then I'll use it on something fun. So that's sort of like the differences in how other people can think about it too. Right. What about another Legacy League as an end of the league event? It's a popular request, but Legacy actually has a number of problems. For a start, it was designed around difficulty levels which were removed in 3.0, so work would be required to unlock League Stones in a different way. Secondly, most of the Legacy League content has gradually made its way into the game in different forms and would feel less exclusive. The amount of work required to fix up this league to work as an event would be significantly more than we could put in at the moment. It's possible for the future though. I didn't like Legacy that much. I feel like very unpopular opinion about that. Like, I feel like everybody loved Legacy. I didn't like it. I hated the League Stones. I fucking hated the League Stones with a passion. I don't understand how so many people liked it. Like, stacking and fucking caring about and min-maxing every little League Stone. I was like... But I mean, loads of people loved it, so obviously I'm in the wrong here, but I just hated, like, the League Stones. Like, is it was fun? Stops is? It's just my opinion. We're allowed to like different stuff. I just hated the League Stones. Yeah, I like the Reliquary Keys. I fucking love the Reliquary Keys. Didn't really find many. Have you considered doing a small event around a single mechanic or aspect of the game? Like all items dropping white or increased currency drops? Yes, please do that. Yes, that would be a lot of fun, though we have to be careful when announcing events to make sure there's something for everyone. Maybe if we bring back some types of group events like race seasons, we can run something like this with more emphasis on the economy and players who are driven by that. As a side note, there's no need to increase currency drops when all items drop as white. It's quite a lot of fun to actually have a use for the currency that does drop. Try it out in a private league. That's true, it is actually pretty amusing. Keep an eye on news next week for the second set of answers. Jesus fucking Christ though, this must have taken a while to pop out. Like, Chris must work so many fucking hours, it's insane. Nice. Like, impressive. I think they addressed a lot of things. I'm surprised this is only part 1 and not all of it. Yeah, I think they addressed... I mean, I would have been happy if they just said that was it. I can't believe they're making a part 2.